Yo, what is going on, guys? Aspect Game back once again in Project Singularity. Today we're going to be expanding the base's infrastructure significantly. I have to create a fluid storage room, a bead automation area, and a lab for a giant cleanroom, along with many other necessary automations. We have a lot of work to do, so let's get at it. Hecuba and I have been having problems with our copper supply lately, and I found a new way to generate it. I'm going to be trying out Infused Seeds. There's some rumors of them being buggy and corrupting worlds, but that is no longer the case. They've been worked on by the GTH devs, and they're in a good spot now. Yeah, there's a couple seeds that interest me. Census seeds give lapis, Permutatio gives copper, and Spiritus gives soul sand, which you can centrifuge into oil. There's a design in the farm using block placers and block breakers, which is in a video by Mr. Obama, but I had to modify it a bit to kind of meet my standards. I really wanted to have a redstone circuit that could shut off each seed individually as it reached full capacity. I did manage to figure it out, and the system is impressing quite a bit, so let's run through it. First off, to actually get the seeds that you want, you have to plant them on farmland, and you can sort of crossbreed the aspects together. So in this case, I have Aqua and Terra on a piece of dirt. If I keep planting these Terra infused seeds on there and growing them, I have a chance of getting Victus seeds, because Victus is made up of Aqua and Terra. So here's the finished system. I'm farming 4 different seeds currently, the 3 that I mentioned earlier, and then the last one is actually Potentia, which makes Elementum. This is just like Thaumcraft coal. I have a random couple uses for it. However, let's start explaining this from the top. There is a video tutorial on the overall build, so I'm going to run through it the best I can, but if you want to see it be built block by block, you can check out the video in the description. The gist of this is that there is 2 different circuits, a block placer and a block breaker, and then a block placer which places the seeds. The top block placer is using Hose of Growth to instantly grow the seeds. We have a timer which splits off into 2 different circuits. Top circuit has a repeater set to 2 ticks that's delayed slightly, and the bottom circuit has no delay. The lower circuit is hooked up to the block placer, which places the seeds, and 2 ticks later they're grown and broken instantly. This AND gate is my addition, as well as this ME level emitter. So once we reach a certain amount of the product, it will shut the system off. As you can see, I have individual AND gates for every product, so if one of them is able to be produced, it will start producing that singular seed, but while the other ones are shut off. Every block placer for the hoe has to have an item conduit on it with an advanced item filter. This needs to be set to damage mode, damage by 75% or more. This will pull out the hoes before they get broken. They will break very quickly. I have some hoes that have Unbreaking 20. These are really good. If you can do something like this, definitely do it. The other hoes that don't have Unbreaking like that break super fast and consume a lot of Void Putty, which is how I'm repairing these hoes. You're probably wondering what Void Putty even is, but it comes from Thaumic Horizons, and what it does, when you craft it together with any tool, it instantly repairs it. In our case, we're just putting it into a crafter with a damaged hoe in there, and then whenever it sees a damaged hoe enter in this crafting table, it will repair it automatically. Your next question is most likely, how do you even get Void Putty? There's no recipe for it. Well, you need a planar vortex. So I have reworked my old Neverson planar vortex. I don't really need it for that purpose anymore, and what we're using this for is to create Void Putty. Whenever the system detects the Void Putty is low, it will activate a redstone circuit, which activates a timer, which is going to be dropping void metal one by one into the planar vortex, and then it activates a block placer with an iron cap profane wand in it. This could be any wand, this is just the first one that I had, which right-clicks in the vortex, creating the Void Putty, and then it gets sucked up to a vacuum hopper and sent over to the storage system. I have a small void metal automation over here as well. It looks like I ran out of void seeds, but what it does essentially is it dumps iron into a chemical furnace, which is fueled by Elementum, and then that creates a constant stream of Metallum Essentia, which goes to creating void metal in here. So I think that's about it for this system. Make sure they're using this version of the block breaker. The other one was very buggy for me, and it was not behaving properly. The only thing I'd recommend is to store your items better than this. I have them in barrels right now. Just use super chests, they're pretty cheap. So I'll be converting the system over. Oh, sorry, there's one more elephant in the room. You may be wondering how to stabilize your planar vortex. So typically in the previous episode, I had these 6 vortex attenuators around the planar vortex that had to be there. You don't actually need those. You can move your planar vortex with a transvector dislocator and it will stabilize it, so you don't need to have that anymore. Just to demonstrate that real quick, right-click on your transvector dislocator with the transvector binder. Then you need to shift right-click on your planar vortex. Then just give it a redstone signal. Pretty interesting and kind of like intimidating and esoteric technology. But yeah, that's how we did all that. Well, that's one problem solved, but as you know, another always appears. I want to build some passive resource setups with bees, but I'm feeling constricted. I need a lot more space than I have right now. So I set off to greatly expand the bee area. My overall vision was to create a huge chasm with like layers of scaffolding holding up small metal platforms, and I found out about these gel blocks from seeing the Underdog's base. I think they'll fit perfectly. After a few hours, it really started to come together. It's giving like a dark Magitech vibe, which I really like. I have a couple setups here already, so let's run through them. This is a tropical bee breeding setup. Tropical bees, of course, are going to be producing silky combs, which I'm using to create silk wisps. Inside of this industrial apiary is a sieve upgrade. This is how I'm making fertile pollen to make more industrial apiaries. What I learned with this is that it's not enough to just have the upgrade, you also need a forestry tree nearby. If you don't have a forestry sapling like this, I just happen to have one lying around, you can turn any vanilla sapling into a forestry sapling by analyzing it with the treealyzer. Process down the combs, we're using centrifuges. I'm using LV ones because they're fast enough and they're super cheap. So yeah, I make silky propolis, which gets centrifuged again into silk wisps, and then I'm storing the silk in a super chest. Another setup here doesn't get much easier than this. This is an apiary that's running a Certus Princess. Make sure you breed up the right Certus Princess. The other one gives you GregTech combs, which are a little bit different. This one is directly giving you Certus, so it's just outputting into a barrel. And we have tons of Certus because of this guy now. This setup is for mica, preparing for a future project, but they make mica combs, which need to be centrifuged in an HV centrifuge, and then you get tons of free mica. So pretty good deal there. There are many more bees coming, and I'll put them in this room as I go, and we'll expand back this way as well as we go. That should be pretty nice. Plenty of space now. I gotta move the ruby juice downstairs too. There's a lot of stuff I gotta do. There's way too much that I gotta do. But there's another new area. I was building this morning. This is gonna be our fluid storage room. Again, it's gonna be another one that's gonna go down to like bedrock if we have to. But the idea here is that we're gonna have yo tanks. And this is like a multi-block that not a lot of people actually use. But it is essentially like a scaling multi-block that scales in a late game. And it gives you like Giga fluid storage. Like whatever you need, you can get out of that. But yeah, it's not that great in HV. But we'll build it anyways because it's not that expensive, if I remember. Yeah, this is all very doable. So it'll just be a process of me crafting a ton of these. We're going to save it for a little bit later. Because for now, super tanks are good enough. I've been setting up our fluid P2P system, and these are honestly like super underrated. I explained in my latest video that P2Ps are kind of like portals. It's like you imagine that wherever the outputs are of this input, it just instantly transmits to them. The idea here is that we're going to have these tanks with very fast outputs. P2P tunnels actually have infinite throughput. Because like I said, it's just a portal. It's just like the two blocks are touching. That is what it is. So as we upgrade to new pumps and stuff, we can pump out a ton of fluid out of that. But the temporary system is super tanks. So it's going to look really ugly for probably the next 30 hours of gameplay. But when it comes together, it's going to look awesome. I promise. Next up was some more building. I did a lot of that this episode. I had a cool idea to hide a secret lab somewhere in the base and put all of our circuit production in there. So I spent a few hours on stream building up a new area. I'm locked in. I gotta catch up. That's the thing. I always feel like I'm behind on this server because of the other people that are on it are insane. I always feel like I gotta try hard. Go up that tall, because then we could still hide the roof. Yeah, the clean room will be tucked in like, perfectly then. Next day, Hecuba and I hopped on together to build a giant clean room.
It's gonna be one of the clean rooms of all time.
True.
Thanks.
You're standing in front of me.
I didn't actually count how far I had mined.
I literally had the template there, so we know how tall to build it. You just broke all of it.
It's probably this far.
I have a tape measure. Let me get it out. Yeah, that's correct. You got it perfect.
Easy game. I ran out of plascrete. Did you do the math on? Oh yeah, there's more.
There should be more than enough plascrete. Oh, wait, actually, this plascrete here needs to be down more, because I don't want it to be 15 tall this way. It has to sink into the floor a little bit.
Oh, I
can
see.
break
You put that there.
This room down here needs to be demolished, by the way. It is so ugly.
Yeah. It's ugly, and it's also useless now.
Yeah. Did I miscount? I have 3 stacks left. It does not feel like enough. I have a lot of glass, though. I have a lot of glass to place.
Isn't this gonna take absolutely forever to clean?
I don't know, to be honest.
Because that's how it works in Modern.
I've never built a very large clean room because I never found it to be necessary, but...
Yeah, but this is Project Singularity.
Yes.
Doesn't matter if it is or isn't.
Honestly, it is going to help us a lot, because I'm going to build a lot of circuit assemblers and like laser engravers and stuff, so it should feel pretty good in the end once we have it. And I miscounted the amount of filter casing. Our gigantic clean room is done and it looks beautiful. At some point, this will be filled with all kind of machines. But right now, we ran into another gigantic problem. Diesel is not keeping up with our power demands. There is good news, though. The Infused Seeds were working so well, this Soul Sand seed might genuinely be OP. I timed this system, and I get about 640 Soul Sand per minute from this Infused Seed. So I built a system to take advantage of that. I forgot to make the boiler. We gotta make this large steel boiler.
Don't, no.
It's good.
Why does it have to be that? Why
it makes
can't
the
it just
perfect
be a
amount of
Railcraft
steam.
boiler?
I'm starting to assemble my multi-blocks over here. Output hatch, steam hatch, input bus. Then on the top, I have output. I must be missing something random. I genuinely don't know what this thing's problem is. I thought I did everything correctly. Where are my output hatches on the single player? I'm so thrown for a loop right now. Yo, wait, I have input hatches, not output. I see the problem. I see the problem. These should be output hatches, not input hatches. All of them. All of this to just not do maintenance. So true. That's all this to run completely for free with no worries. Let's make sure we put this close enough so that if it blows up, a chain reacts and destroys the entire base. The rest of this build was pretty simple, so let's go over it. The large steel boiler produces 40,000 liters per second of steam. Each of these requires 4,800 liters per second, so it works out pretty much perfectly. We need 38,400 liters total per second of steam. This ME interface is stocking Soul Sand and Elementum. The Elementum is extracted into the boiler, and that works out perfectly, so this is also infinite from the Infused Seeds. The Soul Sand is distributed amongst all 8 of the centrifuges by a round-robin item conduit. From there, all the oil gets output into a Stabaloy pipe, where it goes to a quad distillation tower. These are all in Circuit 9, because it's the best recipe in terms of time to get the sulfuric light fuel and heavy fuel. We get a lot of bonus stuff, too, that I'm not using at the moment, but probably should be. You could still burn, like, refinery gas and naphthenic acid for some pretty good power. Move the fluids downstairs. I'm using a ME fluid storage bus on the light fuel and the heavy fuel. Then we use a fluid export bus to send them to the correct hatches. There's a better way to do this, which is using a storage bus on the input hatch, and then using the dual interface on the output, and it'll just instantly teleport the fluid. But I don't have access to these right now because they require fluid processor tier 1s, which need an EV assembler. So this is kind of the workaround that I'm doing. Okay, hopefully the cetane will buffer back up, and it'll be happy. What did I just get? Is Duct at my base? I don't see him here. GT Block Gem 3.7. Where did this come from? I always feel worried when it's just me and Duct on, because whenever something weird happens, I know the extent of which you could troll people with, like, witchery and stuff. So it's like, I'm always wondering if that's what's going on. Overnight, our cetane did buffer back up, so we have 4 million of it. And you gotta consider this huge pipeline is all Stabaloy now. It takes a long time to fill all that up, and this goes all around the base. I think this means the end of an era, though. These apiaries will be put to good use somewhere else, I promise. Now that our power is stabilized again, you know what time it is. It's time to make this look like nothing. There's a lot that needs to be done in this clean room. It's pretty empty right now, but it won't be for long. And our auto-crafting is still a complete mess. There's a lot of machines we won't get multis for until IV, so we want to parallel like pretty much everything times 4. Maybe even times 8, I don't know, I'll have to decide. I think this whole room's gonna get torn down, and we'll rebuild auto-crafting going out in this direction using this whole huge space that I have here. And we'll hide the clean room in the process. I think that's enough for today. We'll be saving that for next time. I want to thank you all for watching. If you made it this far, please subscribe, hit that bell, leave a like, you know what's going on, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Have a good day.